Countering China. How the Philippines became key to U.S. Pacific strategy. China's growing assertiveness in regional waters, including its completion of artificial island bases and militarization of those features in the South China Sea, has radically altered the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. For Washington, there is no viable strategy for countering China's illegal behavior in the East and South China Seas without robust cooperation with Tokyo and Manila, respectively. It is increasingly urgent that the United States and Japan strengthen the strategic foundations of their partnerships with the Philippines, highlight the mutual benefits of working together, and assess the role of trilateral cooperation in regional security. At a time when there is rising uneasiness in the Indo-Pacific area due to China's expanding influence, the Philippines inked an agreement with the United States on Thursday that will enable American forces unrestricted access to 4 of its new military facilities. This arrangement comes at a time when the Philippines is signing the accord. As a result of the agreement, which was finalized during a visit to Manila by the Secretary of Defense of the United States, Lloyd Austin, on February 1, additional American troops will be stationed near China. This will allow the United States to better monitor Chinese operations in the contested South China Sea and around Taiwan. The United States Army was allowed access to 4 more military bases by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. These bases were located primarily in the northern part of the archipelago. These bases would also be used for joint training, storing equipment and supplies, and developing facilities by American forces, who already have access to 5 Philippine military bases. However, they would not be used to maintain a permanent presence in the Philippines. Returning to the pro-Washington position, the advantage that this military pact provides for the United States Department of Defense may appear to be self-evident. First and foremost, it enables the completion of the military encirclement of China in the China Sea region. A specialist in security issues in Asia and associate researcher at the International Team for the Study of Security, ITS in Verona, an international group of experts in international security issues, Danilo Del Fave stated that the United States can now assert its power from the bases in the Philippines. In the north, the United States can use the American base in Okinawa, Japan, as well as the bases in South Korea. In the south, the United States can now assert its power from the bases in the Philippines. The most essential thing is that it indicates a return to a pro-Washington stance for a country that holds a crucial geostrategic position at a time when the United States of America and China are engaged in a war of influence in the Indo-Pacific region. In the event of a conflict with Beijing, the United States administration can finally say again that it can count on the Philippines, said Tom Smith, an expert on the Philippines and security concerns in Southeast Asia at Portsmouth University. Smith is a member of the United States National Defense College. The archipelago has had a love-hate relationship with the United States over its entire history. Manila is Washington's oldest regional ally on paper because of a military cooperation agreement that dates back to 1951. This agreement was signed in Manila. But the truth is much more complicated than that. To begin, the reputation of the United States military was harmed as a result of major problems that were associated with the enormous military outposts that were controlled by the United States and turned over in the early 1990s. There were cases of sex trafficking and prostitution that have left their mark, according to Smith. In addition, the United States did not place a significant strategic priority on the Philippines during the East-West confrontation that was the primary focus of the Cold War years. Nevertheless, Washington once more started to make diplomatic overtures toward Manila after the September 11 attacks, because the Philippines was viewed as a potentially useful ally in the fight against Islamist terrorism, according to Smith. The United States Army has begun training Filipino soldiers to improve their ability to combat the terrorist movement known as Abu Sayyaf, which has a significant presence in the southern islands of the Philippines. A connection between different regions. There has been no decrease in the strategic value of the Philippines since that time. It was stated by De La Fave that the nation has regained the same importance as it had during the Second World War. During that historical period, the Philippines served as the primary land barrier that separated the United States of America from Asia. In the Second World War, it obstructed the path to Japan, and in the present day, it restricts the range of operations that China can do. The Philippines, according to De La Fave's explanation, is a bridge between the two regions, America and Asia, and whoever is favored by Manila can more easily express themselves on either side of the Pacific or the other. This is the perception held by both Washington and Beijing. From 2016 until 2022, when Rodrigo Duterte was serving as president of the Philippines, the United States of America watched with apprehension as its oldest Asian ally moved closer to China. The controversial former leader of the Philippines publicly courted Beijing, expressing his ideological commitment to the Chinese state, while at the same time criticizing former President Barack Obama of the United States on multiple occasions. The Spratly Islands have been at the center of disputes between China and the Philippines since the 1990s. in exchange for certain pledges of investment in infrastructure and the abandonment of Chinese claims to the Spratly Islands. Deter gave his allegiances to Beijing. A similar foreign policy stance was pursued by Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who has been in charge of the Philippines since June 2022. During his visit to Beijing at the beginning of January, he attempted to deepen collaboration with Beijing in the arms of the United States of America. However, only 3 weeks later, the government of the Philippines shocked everyone by signing a new military deal with the United States. This was an unexpected change of events. The failure of Duterte's diplomatic approach is essentially due to Chinese intransigence regarding Beijing's territorial claims on the Spratlys, according to de Lefebvre. Beijing has not only been unwilling to make concessions over the past 6 years, but has also been unsuccessful in increasing investments in the Philippines. The trip that Marcos Jr. took in January was a method for him to make a final pitch to China before recognizing that the United States' offer is the most attractive to Manila, according to Smith. A vow to defend the Philippine fleet if it is attacked by the Chinese in the contested South China Sea, which is a potential critical flashpoint, was included in the offer made by the United States. The unyielding stance that China has taken appears to have been the driving force behind the Philippines' decision to align themselves with the United States, but it may come back to bite them. Not only will Beijing find it more difficult to play hardball in the South China Sea now that there are U.S. forces stationed in the Philippines, but these new facilities are only over 300 kilometers away from Taiwan, which strengthens the United States' potential to intervene if a crisis breaks out between China and Taiwan. China preferred the certainty of having a foothold on the islands it claims rather than a pledge of allegiance from a country that has already changed its mind several times, according to de Lefebvre. As far as the Chinese are concerned, they have not yet had their final word. The authorities in Beijing issued a statement on Thursday condemning the signing of the new military accord, stating that it would lead to the escalation of tensions in the territory. On the other hand, according to Smith, raising the tone on the Chinese side is only the first step. He thinks that China will want to demonstrate that it is capable of continuing to navigate securely in the waters where the Philippines are located. An increase in the number of incidents involving Chinese and Filipino vessels is anticipated to result from this. However, for the time being, it appears that none of the countries involved, including China, the Philippines, and the United States, have any interest in seeing occurrences of this nature develop into a full-blown security crisis. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.